you ever get that message out of nowhere from someone you haven't spoken to in years? It starts simple. A name that feels familiar but distant. An invitation to something small, friendly, safe. That's how it started for me. Just an old high school group wanting to catch up over dinner. A normal evening. I thought it'd be a chance to laugh, to remember who we were back then. But sometimes, the past doesn't want to be remembered. Sometimes, it remembers you first. This is what happened that night. And I swear to you, every word is true. A few years ago, I was invited to a dinner party. It wasn't anything fancy, just a small get-together of old friends from high school. Names I hadn't seen on my phone screen in a decade suddenly appeared again. Maybe it was nostalgia, or maybe something else. The invitation came from Jerry, short for Geraldine. Back in high school, she ran the AV club like a little dictator, organizing film nights and fixing the speakers no one else could touch. She was the type of person who could make you do things you didn't want to do just because she smiled when she asked. My wife couldn't come. Old classmates only, the invite said. She didn't mind. I looked forward to it all week. Took out my old Tomskog High baseball cap, brushed off the dust. That stupid thing smelled like attic dust and cheap beer, but it felt right. It felt like going home. The party was at a rented lodge just outside town, an old clubhouse near the woods. By the time I got there, the sun had already dropped behind the trees, the air cold enough to see your breath. Jerry met me at the door with a hug that smelled like wine and nostalgia. Behind her, I could already hear the others laughing. Omar, Nellie, Chris, and Corey, the twins, all. One person was missing though, Tess. We waited. We joked that she was always late, that she'd show up just when dessert hit the table. But something in Jerry's eyes told me she wasn't expecting Tess to arrive at all. Dinner was halfway done when Nellie's phone buzzed. She froze mid-bite, the color draining from her face. Everyone kept talking, laughing, clinking glasses. But I saw her shoulders lock, her hand trembling. When she finally looked up, her voice came out cracked and small. "She's dead," she whispered. "Tess. She died this afternoon." At first, no one reacted. The laughter just thinned out. Then Omar asked, "Wait, what do you mean?" And Nellie showed us the article. Local news time-stamped just a few hours earlier. Tess had been found in her car, slumped over the wheel. A brain aneurysm, they said. Instant, painless. The room fell silent. Only Jerry didn't move. She didn't even check her phone. Her glass was halfway to her lips, but her hand shook like she was holding something much heavier than wine. I thought maybe she was in shock. But later I realized it wasn't shock. It was recognition. We tried to keep talking after that to salvage the evening, but it felt wrong. The laughter didn't sound right anymore. It sounded forced. Then the lights flickered. Once, twice. And then the power went out completely. Phones lit up around the table, a dozen tiny blue glows reflecting in wide eyes. Someone joked about tripping the breaker, but nobody moved to fix it. That's when I saw it. In the flicker of Omar's phone light, just at the far end of the dining room, something stood. It wasn't a person, not exactly. It was too tall, too still, like a silhouette stretched by something inside it. I only saw it for a heartbeat before the light shifted away, but that was enough. A smell filled the air, burnt plastic, ozone. Then came the sound, a high-pitched ringing, like electricity screaming through metal. Someone screamed. Then, as quickly as it started, the lights came back. The thing was gone. but Jerry was staring at the empty space where it had stood her lips, moving like she was praying. It took a while before anyone spoke again. Finally, Jerry said, "You all deserve to know." Her voice trembled. She told us about a woman named Gwen, an old classmate who had died suddenly a few months ago. Then another, and another. 3 people from our graduating year, all gone within weeks of each other. And before each of them died, they told someone they'd seen something. A shadow that reached the ceiling. A figure standing by their car, by their window in the corner of their room. A tall, faceless thing. Tess had been the last to reach out to Jerry. She said she'd started seeing it too, that she knew she was next. But she wanted the rest of us to meet anyway to see if it would come for us. She told me Jerry whispered that if we saw it together, maybe it would choose. Choose what none of us knew. Ole was the first to break. He stood up, swore he wasn't staying another minute. He barely reached the door before the lights died again. All at once, phones flashed screens flickering. Through the chaos, I saw something black move across the ceiling, long arms dragging along the walls like wet ink. Ole screamed, and then nothing. When the power came back, he was on the floor, eyes wide, mouth open. Gone. We panicked. The twins bolted for the kitchen. Nellie grabbed her phone. Omar tried to call for help. Jerry screamed for us to stay together. But then, the lights flickered again, slower this time, and every flash was a snapshot of horror. Chris falling. Corey clawing at the table. Nellie tripping backward, her head striking the floor. Each light blinked and someone else stopped moving. I don't remember running. I don't remember breathing. All I remember is standing against the wall, shaking, watching Jerry in the corner. Her eyes were wide open, her lips pale. She whispered, "It only wants one." Then the darkness swallowed her too. When the lights came back, I was alone. Everywhere I looked, bodies, motionless twisted eyes, frozen mid-terror. And then, silence, until I heard it behind me. A voice, not really a voice, more like the idea of sound. It didn't speak words, it showed them. Images, flashes, feelings. I saw myself growing old. A house, a wife, 2 little girls running through the yard. A peaceful life in the same small town I'd always known. Then it showed me something else. A desert of black sand, shadows writhing beneath a blood-red sky. A place without end, where pain never stopped. 1,000 versions of me, dying and living and dying again. I understood. It wasn't offering death, it was offering eternity. And I said yes. The moment I did it was gone. The lights hummed. My phone buzzed. Outside, the night was calm again. When they found me, I told the police it was a gas leak, or maybe bad wine. They didn't believe me, but they stopped asking questions. People always want a version of the story they can live with. Now, years later, I still live here. I have a good job, 2 daughters, a quiet home. But sometimes, when the night is too still, I see a shape in the corner of my eye, something tall, still waiting. And I know what it's waiting for, because when my youngest came home from school last week, she had something in her hands. An old Tom Skog high baseball cap. She said she found it in the storage shed behind the school. I never told her I'd left it there. They called it a tragic accident. They said it was the wine, or maybe the wiring, in that old building. People always look for reasons they can write down on paper. But some things don't fit inside police reports. Some things don't go away when the lights come back on. It's been years since that dinner, and I've done my best to forget. But when the house goes quiet and I feel something tall move past the hallway, I remember. Because I said yes. And I think it's still waiting to collect.